You're listening to Lighting Up Real Estate with your host, Kendall Lockett.
As always, the goal of the show is to shine a light on people, strategies, systems, and ideas to help grow your real estate investing business. Today, we are lighting up investing in mobile homes. My guest today, Rachel Hernandez, joins the show, and she shares why she sold her entire single-family real estate portfolio to purchase and invest in mobile homes, and why you should too. At the end of the show, Rachel leaves something for the listeners. This is a great show, so let's get started. Hi, Rachel. Welcome to Lighting Up Real Estate.
Thanks so much for having me, Kendall. I really appreciate you asking me to come on the show.
Oh, well, thank you for accepting the invitation. I am so excited about this. We are talking about mobile home real estate investing.
Great. I'm ready.
Okay, because I have so many questions to ask. I am currently living in a small rural town in Georgia, and I see a lot of mobile home parks and communities. So, of course, I have a lot of questions because I would love to just even find out how you own or you can own a community. And this is where you come in. So you're here. Okay. So Rachel, how did you even get started in mobile home real estate investing?
Okay, sure. No problem. I get this question all the time. Actually, mobile home investing found me. So I'll tell you about the story. I first got into real estate investing by reading the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And that's where I learned the concept of passive income, which is income that doesn't really depend on me to make it. So listening to this was a very new concept and eye-opener for me. Because before, the only income, Kendall, I knew was earned income through a job. So my background is really in sales and marketing. I've been a sales executive for various Fortune 500 corporations, and I've also had marketing positions in the entertainment industry as well. So after I read that book and hearing the concept of passive income, it really excited me. So I decided to do it through real estate investing. So the way I started out was in single family homes, like a lot of real estate investors. I started out looking for deals for other investors by first becoming a bird dog and then a wholesaler. And this is the way I just built up cash. They would just pay me to find deals.
So explain to the audience what a bird dog is as compared to the wholesaler.
Sure. Well, there's a difference between a bird dog and a wholesaler. So bird dog is, think of it as an information gatherer. So you've got an investor that you work with, and that specific investor tells you, well, I want to look for either a home or a mobile home or an apartment building, some type of asset, and they know exactly what type of asset they're looking for. And then they'll go into, I just want to spend this much. I don't want to rehab this much, or I'm willing to do this much fix-up work. They'll be very specific. So that's one of the things looking for an investor who knows what they're doing. They're very specific on what they're looking for. So as a bird dog, you kind of look in those neighborhoods. They're giving you the blueprint of what they're looking for. And then based on their criteria, try to find motivated sellers who are interested in selling their properties. And once you got a list of people that you're working with on a regular basis, these motivated sellers, you just got to kind of get the information. When do they need to sell by? How much do they want? Why are they selling? When do they need to move? Get all that information together for the investor, take it to the investor, and the investor will either say yes or no. And if they say, yes, I want to pursue it, you hand it off to them. You don't put anything under contract. You just give them the information.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, if that investor, as a bird dog, ends up buying that property, then they'll just pay you a fee for your work that you've done. So that's something that you got to set up with the investor beforehand.
Okay.
And I tell a lot of people, if you're looking for someone who's actually doing deals, in your market, you need to, check your local real estate investment club, get out into these communities, see who's actually doing deals, because I'll tell you, there are people who do deals and then people who don't do deals who are looking for deals. And you really want to, connect with people who know what they're doing, and then they can perform so you can get paid.
Absolutely.
So that's what a bird dog is. A wholesaler, on the other hand, is someone who goes out and does the exact same thing. The only difference between a bird dog and a wholesaler is that the wholesaler gets all the information, negotiates with the seller, and puts it under contract. So they're actually making an agreement with the seller to buy the home. Then they either assign their interest in the contract to their end buyer, aka the investor, the end investor, which is what I did, or they take title to the home or apartment building in their name, and then they resell it, with whatever their arrangement is with the new buyer, who's the investor, and then the new investor takes it into their name. So there's different ways of doing it, but that's basically the difference between a bird dog and a wholesaler.
Okay, so you started out as a bird dog, then a wholesaler, and then advanced into being a buy and hold investor, or did you buy and flip?
Yes. So once I built up enough cash as a bird dog and then a wholesaler, then I started buying and holding single families, homes for cash flow. But soon I had a nice sized portfolio of single family homes. I became a burnt out landlord myself. So it was only years after reading, Lonnie Scruggs' course, and now it's a book. It's called Deals on Wheels. He's considered the godfather of mobile home investing, that I decided, you know what? I'm going to sell my entire real estate portfolio and just get into mobile home investing.
Whoa.
And that's what I did. It sounds crazy, but I did it. And here I am.
Whoa. Okay. That was huge.
Yeah.
That's a big feat. So what was it that you read in that book that just said, I'm out? Or were you already like teetering on going ahead and selling this portfolio anyway? Or just you were perfectly fine with your single families and this just was a transformation after reading the book and you just said, I'm in the wrong field of investing?
Pretty much.
Whoa.
Well, okay. So what I've really liked about mobile home investing after I read the book or the course is, one, there's less competition, because I don't know many people who get up and out of bed and say, I want to be a mobile home investor, because it's got that negative stigma.
Right.
Second, what I like about it, besides less competition, less people who are into it. Second is, I'm really good at networking and working with people. I don't know if you noticed, but that's what I do. So like when I was doing wholesaling and bird dogging, there's all these different ways to find motivated sellers. And, you take all these courses and you read all these books and everyone's telling what worked for them. So I was doing direct mail. I was sending postcards to attorneys. I mean, I was doing all this stuff in the office and I hated it. I was sending offers to banks, like send 50 offers and get one accepted, And I was like, this is way too much administration. I cannot do this. This is not who I am. So what I liked about mobile home investing, it really requires you to get out in the field and meet people, because like Lonnie said in a lot of his books, it's a people business. And I think you agree with me. I mean, real estate investing is a people business. You can do it, cold calling and sending out direct mail. It works, but it's a lot of calling. It's a lot of direct mail, So you hear me.
I know. I'm agreeing to everything you're saying.
So mobile home investing, it really, really matched my personality. And that's how Lonnie did things.
Wow.
So that's kind of how I made the decision. The other thing
Mhm.
I liked is that I just loved buying these homes with no debt. So since I cashed out on
Wow.
my entire real estate portfolio, this is when the market was high,
Mhm.
I had, the cash to buy these homes. So instead of buying a home for like $100,000, I could buy it for less than that, like $5,000 or less. You know what I
Whoa.
mean? So it's a big
Right.
difference,
Huge difference.
Yeah. So that's kind of what sold me on it. But it did take me a while to kind of, just learn the market, build rapport. It was
Mhm.
just starting, Candle at the ground up, like anything.
Right.
I was
Okay,
starting a new business.
so this is amazing. So Rachel, so you read the book and you decided, okay, I'm going to sell my portfolio. How long did it take from you selling your portfolio to you purchasing your first mobile home park?
Okay, so basically it took me a while.
Mhm.
Now it was actually this is what I specialize in, mobile
Okay.
homes in the parks, the specific mobile homes.
Okay.
Yes. I've been asked to buy
Nice.
parks and
Mhm.
I'm just not there
Okay.
mentally.
Okay.
I will do a side note. There's a lot of hype right now about buying mobile home parks.
Okay.
And it's really not what it's cracked up to be.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Like, we've got to talk about why, the
Yeah.
difference between just having just a single family mobile home and then the entire community. I'm so glad you brought that up.
No, I had this conversation with Lonnie Scruggs. He was kind of a mentor to me.
Mhm.
I took him aside, when he was alive. He passed away a few years ago. But I said, Lonnie, I've been doing these mobile. This is when I was kind of established already for a while now. And what do you think about buying mobile home parks? Because I'm getting a lot of people, because I'm a blogger and a writer who are
Mhm.
asking me to go in on these deals and other investors. And they're really pushing me to, partner with them and la da 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 da. And Lonnie said, you know what? That was something that I was thinking about too with my wife. But we really wanted to see what was the end goal. Did we want to get stuck with an asset with all this liability? Because if someone trips
Mm.
and falls in a mobile home park, or if a
You're
tree
responsible.
branch, right? And expenses. And I will tell you, I've known people to have mobile home parks from single family homes.
Mhm.
They got in, then they got out because they got up. One person, he was out of California. He had a main water pipe bust, cost him
Mhm.
$60,000. Thank goodness
Oh.
he actually had the funds. He was able to refinance one of his single family homes in California.
Mhm.
But he's like, Rachel, if I had not had that property, I don't know what I would have done. So he actually fixed it, got out, resold the park.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that's kind of stopping me. I talked to Lonnie and he said, buying a mobile home park is really not going to let me and my wife
Yeah.
do what we want, which is travel across country in an RV. That was their dream. And he's like, that's why we started with the homes. And then they bought the lots and then put the homes on them, or the homes were already on the lots, individual lots, or even a small piece of land,
Mhm.
but an entire mobile home park. He's like, what if you're in it with other people? It's kind of like a marriage,
Mhm.
you guys are in it together. And that's when I realized, you know what? I don't even know if I want to do this. So, because the people I've known who've
Mhm.
bought large mobile home parks, they're in it with other people and they've had to move their families to the location. And then they got out and they went into something else. I said, Rachel, you know what? Just stick with the Lonnie deals, with the
Mhm.
homes or the lots if you want to go up, but not an entire mobile home park.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's a
That's
lot of
great
hype
information.
about it right now.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of funds. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people raising money for their funds because they need people's money to buy these mobile home parks.
Okay.
So
But the
it's
strategy
pretty
is
hype.
what you love to your passion or in teaching in this is to pretty much get our individual mobile homes individually and not the park.
Not the park.
Okay. This is a great lesson. See, you're teaching me already. That is a strategy. I need just the home, not the park. Just
Well,
focus
for
on
me,
home.
I mean, it really depends. I mean, some people want that kind of life where they're busy all the time and they don't have, they just want to dedicate their lives to work, and maybe they don't have a family, or family's not important, which is
Mhm.
fine, but that's not the kind of life that I want to lead.
Right.
And I really fall in the footsteps of Lonnie Scruggs, where
Mhm.
I'm doing this so that I can have that time to do the things I want to do, not have to do.
Right.
So I don't want to be having these calls from other investors. I'm in this big mobile home park with this deal, and then something,
Yeah.
some main line breaks, or the
Mhm.
tree falls on these homes, or we have a fire. I mean, I don't want to deal with
That's true.
it.
That's true.
So
So tell us about your first deal, buying your first mobile home. How did you
sure.
structure this?
Sure. Well, my first deal, it was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and it was in a nice mobile home park. And
Okay.
I will tell you, the strategy is, if you're going to do this, don't look for the deal first, because that's what I did in the beginning and it really backfired.
Uh-huh.
Because what you want to do is create a relationship with the park. So whether that be the park manager or the park owner, create a relationship, and it won't happen overnight. It takes time to
Mhm.
go in there and introduce yourself, get to know the park, have them get to know you, a little chit chat, and you have to keep going and going and going. So basically, for my first deal, it took me about 8 months to do and find my first deal. And I had already built the relationship with a manager. So it didn't happen overnight.
Okay. So did you already scout out that location, that target park that you wanted to buy your first mobile home in? Or did you just like choose several different mobile home parks and just said build a relationship with all of them?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I had no idea what I was doing. I went to over 200 mobile
Oh
home
my
parks in my
gosh.
area. So you say there's a lot in your area. Yeah, there's a lot in mine too.
Wow.
And like, it was hours from where I
Mhm.
lived, some of them. And then from there, I just built the relationships. I mean, I
Okay.
really, at that point, I was like, okay, I'm just going to build the relationship, and whatever leads come, I'm going to start looking, meeting with
Mhm.
sellers. So I built the relationship. And then, so 8 months into it, it was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath in a nice mobile home park. And these sellers, they called me. They wanted to sell their home because they needed something bigger. They had lived there for 10 years. So they called me, and I made an appointment to go see the home. So as usual, now I've got, my background in single family homes. So I know what to do in terms of inspections. So I
Mhm.
did my usual inspection as if I were going to live in the home myself. So, I checked the lights, I checked the air conditioning, the heater. I checked to make sure the tub was working.
Mhm.
Anything that you would check as a homeowner, I did the same. So I checked the inside, and then when we went out to the outside, we started going around the home, and I saw that there was an issue with some of the siding in one area of the home. Like, the wood was rotting, and it was a hardy board
Mhm.
wood, but there was no water coming through the house. The sun was hitting it, so it would actually dry out, but it looked like it needed to be repaired. It was an obvious repair fix.
Mhm.
So after that, I just kind of got my handyman to look at it. At this point, I had already built a network, and he said, "Yeah, it'll cost a couple $100." So, any case, to make a long story short, the sellers wanted to know if I wanted to buy the home, and I did my due diligence and my research, and I said, "Yes, I do want to buy the home." But we negotiated back and forth, we with the numbers, but
Mhm.
finally we just came up to an agreement. I finally bought the home for $3,600 cash, and they even cleaned it for me, which was great. That was me, actually, because I wanted them to clean it.
That is crazy. Like you own the house for $3,600.
Yes. And then it took me 2 weeks to fill it and find another family. And
Mhm.
this new family, they gave me $1,000 to move in and $250 per month for the next 4.5 years. They were never
Wow.
late. And that was my first day. It was the most
Mhm.
memorable one for me. And I mean, it didn't go smoothly, but you
Mhm.
have to learn things, but I was able to, get it done.
Wow. So when you bought this mobile home, do you own the mobile home and also the land that it sits on? Like, is there a survey around what you own, or is it just the mobile home itself and you renting the land?
Right. Right now, what I do is I just specifically focus on parks. The
Okay.
parks own the land underneath. So there's something called
Ah,
lot rent.
okay.
So basically, either the person you put in there pays the lot rent, or you pay the lot rent and you collect it from the person paying. I
Hmm.
really don't want to, I've done it before that way. I'd rather have the people in the home pay their own lot rent and then they just pay me.
Whoa, that's smart.
Yeah. So basically, I don't own the land.
Hmm.
It's the park that owns the land. It's just for the home right now. Now, one of the things I am thinking about doing is going into just buying lots or a small piece of land and
Hmm.
putting homes on them. That's been in the back of my mind for a very long time.
Yeah, kind of like McDonald's. Have you ever seen Is it the McFounder
Oh,
with
yes.
Michael Keaton?
Are you a movie buff?
When it comes to business movies, you have my attention. Anything else I
Oh.
can't get through. But if it has to do with money and real estate, I'm there for it.
You know what I just saw again? That's one of
Mhm.
my favorite movies. I hope it's okay if I say it.
Yeah, sure.
The Money Pit with Tom Hanks. I
Oh my
love
gosh,
that
it's on my
movie.
brain right now.
Yes, I love that.
That is
I
my favorite
can
movie.
put it on replay, and it's just anyone listening to this podcast. If you haven't seen it, please do. Please
It
go
is
see The
my
Money Pit.
favorite movie. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
But to answer your question, yes, kind of like McDonald's. Yes, the park
Mhm.
owns the land, and then I just own the home
Okay.
underneath
Okay.
rent. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you determine how much your rent rate is going to be? Do you have to compare, like, I guess, the quality of that, or the square footage of the mobile home, or the other rates in that community park? How did you know, like, the numbers could work for you?
Pretty much. And the answer is really easy because I have a lot of people who, they go to my blog. It's like, Rachel, how do I determine, how much I can get for this home or what someone can put down for this home? I was like, it's really easy. Just ask the
Mm-hmm.
park manager or the owner. Another person you can ask are the mobile home dealerships in the area because they have to deal with this all the time. So
Ah.
the park manager, once you build the rapport with the park manager or the owner, because it could be
Mm-hmm.
the owner in there, and I will tell you, you won't know between the owner and the park manager because
Yeah.
sometimes the way that it's really a people business. They don't
Mm-hmm.
they don't carry themselves that way.
Exactly.
So you would just ask them and they would tell you. Another thing is just go out in the residence, start talking to people. There's a lot of people who walk their dogs in these parks,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really like a slower pace of life, so you can do those things
Wow. It is. It is.
versus some other niches, being in a big city, and then they're like, oh, I don't have time for you.
Mm-hmm.
But in these mobile home parks, I mean, people really do take the time to talk with you, and as long as you're approachable and you respect them and you can show that you respect them, they're willing to talk with you in general. So just ask people who live there, and
Mm-hmm.
maintenance people, they're like circulating, they're doing things. Just ask them, hey, and don't say you're an investor. That's another pet peeve.
Ah.
I don't say, I'm just like a regular person.
Okay.
There's people who say, oh, I'm going to introduce myself as the investor and be all
Mm-hmm.
important, and here's my business card. And I'm like, I don't even have a business card. So that it's all in the approach,
Yeah.
so people like those who are like them. And if you can
Mm-hmm.
kind of, just treat people like people, then
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to have a problem in this business.
Okay. So because I'm a novice to mobile home parks, I'm still comparing, uh, making a comparison between, I guess, a mobile home and a single family. So here in Georgia, we have HOAs. Are HOAs, do they exist in mobile home parks?
Some mobile home parks, they
Uh-huh.
do. And a lot of those ones are going to be on the coast.
Okay.
It's possible in California. Anything where it's kind of in a very high end area. So with the HOA, you're probably going to have even more in lot rent. I've heard in California, the lot rent is sometimes as high as $1,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've had students who do business in California. I mean, they can buy the home less, but it's just having that lot rent when they have vacancies. I was like, you just need to account for that. And there's people doing deals in those areas right now. But yeah, it would depend on the park. That's one of the questions you want to ask when you talk to the park manager. What are the fees associated with the park? And they will tell you. They have nothing to hide. So
Right. So does it typically, do you come across, like, it's very common also with these HOAs here, is you can only have so many people that can rent in a community. Do they encourage people to actually own the mobile homes, or is there no rent restrictions when it comes to mobile home parks?
Sure. It depends on the park. Some parks only want people who own the homes. And that was that was one of my first experiences. And it really turned me off. I wrote it in my book. You can link it in the show notes.
Oh, absolutely.
My book. But I wrote about it. And that's something that really turned me off, because I actually went and looked for the deal first, which was my main mistake. And then I went to the park manager and she was like, no, you got to live in the home. No, you got to live in the home. And I did it multiple times, not just once, multiple times. And it was like, you got to live in the home. So that's why it's so important, if you're going to do this, to actually go in there and try to build rapport with the park manager or owner, because you're not going to get along with everyone.
Right.
And I think that's important because in an ideal world, it would be great, but we all don't have the same personalities. So for me, some people like me, some people don't like me. And it's the same for any other person, because we're all people,
right.
And we all have different personalities. We all have different ways of doing things. So the key is to find parks that you want to do business in, that you like. You feel that it works with your personality, but at the same time, you want to make sure the park manager or owner is someone that you think can work with your personality, and you can work with their personality.
Okay.
Because if not, it's not going to work.
Okay. So what utilities are landlords responsible for, or does the tenant pretty much pay all the utilities?
They pretty much pay all, the way I do it. I mean, some landlords can do it different, but a lot of times it's gas, electric, trash, and water. Water's a big one. Yeah. So they are usually responsible for all those utilities. I do know some parks who actually just include it in the lot rent. They include it in the lot rent, the utilities. But as for me, I actually, when I work with people, I tell them, you do need to pay for utilities. And that's kind of a red flag too, when you're going out and filling these homes. If people call you interested in your homes, and they ask, well, can you provide all the utilities? Can you pay for water?
Right.
Can you pay for electricity? That's a major red flag for me, unless you're going that route, but I'm not.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. Because I was wondering how that worked. Because I'm like, okay, I can see them just using unlimited water, taking showers, electricity, Wi-Fi, all of that. And then, of course, and they're not paying for any of that.
Well, one park manager, one park owner, I'm sorry. He owned the park and he didn't have it submetered. So he was kind of like, you pay me lot rent, your water's included. And I had people in there. It was a small home. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, I believe. And they would call me, this owner, he's ridiculous. He's knocking on our door. He wants us to pull the skirting, look for leaks underneath the house. He would go to every single, this is the owner, not the park manager.
Gosh.
Every single home. You're using up way too much water. Let's look underneath your house. I don't
Wow.
have time for that.
No.
I'm like, just sub-meter the darn thing,
Right. Right.
But he didn't want to do it because it was too costly, and he didn't want to do improvements. And that's my other gripe about some of these mobile home parks.
Mm-hmm.
They raise the lot rent, but then they don't do the improvements until the city comes and say, hey, you need to do this.
And that was my next question. Like, who monitors, like, to make sure that, some of these mobile home parks are in its best shape? Because I've seen some parks where you have those that are, it's kind of like an HOA. You have those that are just really nice, and you have those where it's like, okay, is anybody even living in there? But someone is. But you could tell that that landlord or that owner just has not kept up that home.
Right. And that's my other gripe with some mobile home park owners who don't keep up with it. It really is the community, because if you have a strong sense of community, they're going to go to code enforcement through the city. And code enforcement, they don't go around to the parks and, oh, your skirting's like that, or, oh, you need to pave the road. No, they respond to calls. So the more it gets done, if there's a sense of community, and residents, they're homeowners, and they were like, this, you're raising the lot rent, yet you're not doing anything to improve this community, then they have a problem. So they bring it to the city, they bring it to code enforcement, and there's a lot of pushback. I mean, you hear a lot right now that the hot thing is these mobile home park owners raising the lot rent on these parks. And some of these residents are saying they're raising the lot rent, and the mobile home parks are, yeah, we are, because it's not in line. But what are you doing to improve the community? And a lot of residents, most residents, they are reasonable. If you can justify why you're raising the lot rent, and not just to say, well, it's because of the market, but you're actually taking steps to improve the community, if you're improving roads, if you're trimming trees. But if you're not doing anything, why are you raising the lot rent?
Right.
You know what I mean? So
right. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Because it, in a sense, it does affect, because that not only can affect, I guess, the owner of that mobile home park's value, but it also have an impact on the value of your own mobile home that you own, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, also that, and if there's residents in the park and they're homeowners, they just don't want to attract like riffraff into the park. I mean, not all parks are gated. So if it's not gated and some things are not kept up, it could attract a certain type of clientele, and they don't want that I wouldn't as a homeowner either. So
yeah. So Rachel, okay, let's go back to your first deal. How did you finance this? Well, you had your portfolio, but how would one finance this?
Yes. At this point, I mean, there's a lot of different philosophies on financing. And one of my big gripes is like, if you don't have your personal finances in order, you should not invest at all.
And I agree.
And that's one of the things. I mean, if you know how much money is coming in, how much money is coming out, and then you're saving every month, or if you have a side business where you're saving enough money to do your first deal. But in terms of financing, you can, if you want. I mean, there's people who've actually borrowed against their homes. I don't recommend it, getting a home equity loan to buy 5 mobile homes. And I know people who do that, but I just don't recommend that, because then you're putting your own personal assets at risk in terms of financing. So my thing is, I think it's best, if you do want to get started, maybe if you need to build up cash, either build it up through your job, a side business, going out like what I did, bird dogging or wholesaling, looking for deals for other investors without taking the risk of buying and holding, if you don't have the funds to hold if something goes wrong. In terms of taking a loan, I don't recommend it. You can, but I just really don't recommend it. Owner financing, you can go that route if you'd like, but most times the owner, they want their cash as well too. So, I mean, the other route is going on and taking a partner. But, Candle, that has its own problem.
Oh, yeah. We're not even going to have that conversation. So is your strategy looking for turnkey mobile homes, or are you looking to possibly, rehab some of them to make some money going in? Or can you do that with mobile homes?
Yes, yes, yes. So for me, I really look for something that is not going to have that much work. It's going to
Okay.
have cosmetic issues. The most I will do is remove and replace. So basically, if the air conditioning is like really old and it's shot, I've replaced an air conditioner. Roofs, I've replaced roofs.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like gutting the whole place and just putting, like I knew someone, he had to put new flooring all through the house because it had the
Wow.
particle board, because
Uh-huh.
it got wet and there were holes in every single room. No, I don't go that route. I pass those leads to other investors who are willing to take on those deals.
So can you wholesale mobile homes?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done it.
Shut up.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. That is so cool.
Mhm. So yeah, it's just a matter of again networking. So if
Mm-hmm.
you know the people who are actually doing deals in the area, it's kind of just staying in touch with them and saying,
Okay.
what are you looking for and how much work are you willing to do? And a lot of this is in my book, like what to ask.
Okay.
And I'm sure you can just link it here in the show notes.
Yep.
But it's really, I mean, it's just knowing who to go to with these deals and then just trying to find something that fit their criteria. It's really basic.
Wow.
So
This is just so cool. So, how do you ever have any maintenance calls, or do you have a certain? Do you manage your own properties, or do you have a team that does this for you?
no, I do it myself. And
Okay.
most people, because they go in it knowing that, they have that homeowner mentality,
Hmm.
that they'll eventually own it one day,
That was my next question. Okay, go
Yes,
ahead. Keep
yes,
going.
yes. So basically, it's very minimal. Now, if there is something that's really like a big expense and it was out of the control, like we had hail damage to a roof, and I have
Hmm.
had a tree fall on a home and I've had to
Oh,
file a
wow.
claim on insurance, but
Uh-huh.
thank goodness no one got hurt. And then second, it was a metal roof. So
Okay.
it did minimal damage. There was a little bit of damage and I got paid from the insurance to go ahead and do, the repairs on everything of what
Hmm.
happened. But it's really important just to kind of choose, and this being in real estate, Candle, you just need to go be choosing on who exactly you put in the homes in the first
Yes.
place. You don't want to rush. It's better to have a vacant home than to put
Hmm.
someone in there and they're not going to take care of it and they cut off communication. You don't want that.
Right.
And I've been there, I've done that, and those are big mistakes,
Hmm.
but knock on wood, I'm learning from them. So but yeah, in terms of maintenance calls, it's very minimal. It's kind of like
Hmm.
the 80-20 rule.
Okay.
Like your 20, you do have, those 20% that you try to minimize and they take up 80% of your time, but the majority of people they just pay, and then if there's an issue they just deal with it, but they will let
Okay.
me know if there is an issue. And also the
Okay.
park manager plays an important role as well too.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you this. When you're looking for your tenant, does that part manager, do they already have a list of a waiting list, or how do they help you find those tenants?
Yeah, they got waiting lists, and I actually, you're reading my mind. I did this before when I first started,
Hmm.
but see, the manager, they're an employee and they've got things to do. So they'll
Hmm.
take a list. Yeah, you're looking for this 3 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms, but they don't have time to screen people.
No, they don't.
So it could actually end up being more work
Hmm.
than if you just kind of built your own list
Got it.
and found your own people. And that's what's happened
Hmm.
pretty much. I'm like, oh, there's a list of 50 people. I'm like, do I want to call these people? Because they
Wow.
haven't been, screened because the
Hmm.
manager doesn't have time for that. Or do I just kind of want to see who calls me because I just put the sign in the window, at
Yeah,
that
that's a
point.
great point. That's a
Right.
great point.
Right. So All depends how much work you want to do.
Yeah. So have you set everything up on a system to where I guess if they have an issue and how they pay rent or communicate, is it all set up on a website, or are you still old school and you just have a phone number and they contact you and pay rent? How do you, what is your system for as, I guess just getting the rent and dealing with, any maintenance issues that you might have?
Yeah, I'm old school.
Okay.
Just like Lonnie. I don't have
There's
a
nothing wrong with that.
website. I still
Mhm.
use a fax machine.
Oh,
I
wow.
only use email with the park managers and the
Mhm.
owners. And I really do not use email with residents because that is that would be a nightmare.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking too, because I was thinking like, I don't see actually, a lot of email communications going on like, hey, this isn't working. I see more of it being a contact to contact person when it comes to.
Exactly. And if they have an issue, texting does not.
Mhm.
They've got to send a whole statement in writing to the, through
Uh-huh.
the mail to the address, put their name, and they got to jump through the hoops. If it's that big of an issue for them,
Mhm.
not going to be like, oh, I sent you a text message. No.
Right.
Unless it's like a major emergency where like the water's spouting out and we've had a big,
Yeah.
it's not, so that's kind of how I handle it. Again, it goes back to trying to find the right people who work with your personality. So like if you're in real estate for as long as I have, you'll learn there are high maintenance people and low maintenance people.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Really
yeah.
depends on who you want to work with. And that will affect your career as a real estate investor going forward.
Mhm.
So I hope that helps.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So let me ask you this, and even in mobile home investing, what do you still have the same tax advantages as any other real estate investor with a single family detached?
I mean, you can if you want. And I
Mhm.
did talk about that with my first mentor. I mean, she taught me pretty much the ropes on what she does. I've had several mentors. If you want, but she didn't go that route. She basically told me, well, if I do it that way and then I depreciate everything, then you got to pay back with the depreciation capture. And I know this is not like a
Mm.
tax podcast, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into that, but it can open up a can of worms. So basically, what she did was just kind of reported that this is the income. I mean, as long as you're reporting the income, unless you want those tax breaks, but
Yeah.
at this point, you really don't need it as a.
Okay. Okay. That's some great advice. So, Rachel, you love mobile home investing so much that you created a course around this.
Yes.
Tell us about this course because I cannot wait to take it. I'm going to be honest. I'm taking this course.
Well, yes. Well, basically, okay. So I've been blogging since 2007,
Mhm.
and so I've been writing for a very long time. And throughout the years, people have asked me, Rachel, when are you going to have a course? I need some training. Do you have any consulting? And every year I'd be like, no, I'm just going to continue what I'm doing. And every year I kept doing that. But then it got to a point where people kept asking me the same darn questions. And it was like, okay, well, I'll just write a blog post about it.
Mhm.
But even when I wrote the blog post, I still pointed people in those directions, but they had even more questions. So it got to the point where like, okay, I need to create a course.
Yeah.
So my course is basically a course on mobile home investing,
Mhm.
and where it takes someone from point A to point B. And that really is one where you create a plan on how you want to go and pursue mobile home investing. And because I see a lot of people, they're like, okay, I'm going to read these books. And then should I go talk to the park manager?
Mhm.
But then they don't even get have their finances,
Right.
in
Right.
order. So the course, it includes pretty much from point A to point B. How do you even get started
Mhm.
doing this? You'll have a plan at the end. And then it also includes a private forum where I go on there and I answer your questions, like a support.
Nice.
So you've got the
Nice.
support and it's very affordable.
Mhm.
And for anyone listening, Candle will probably put the link in the show notes.
I will.
It's pretty affordable, as just a getting started basic course. It also
Mhm.
comes with a 50-page workbook and it's a really good resource because if you're also looking to network with others, or maybe you want a partner or you want opinions on the deals that you're doing, we have that private forum and you get that at the
Nice.
conclusion of the course. So Candle will link it up in the show notes for anyone who wants to check it out. But
Yes.
it's affordable and it's something that I think is needed among the real estate investing space, because if you think about it, I mean, a lot of these courses, I mean, like, what, I'm going to pay that for that
Right.
much, and what really is in that course, and
What
I
is
got to
in it?
spend like an arm and a like a car, a used
Right.
car for this. Or you know what, they want me to refinance my house to get money to pay for this course. I mean, it's ridiculous. So
Yeah. And I think the benefit of this is not too many people are in this lane. So it's less pressure, less to make mistakes, or because you're not having to hurry up because someone else may put an offer on that property that you want to flip,
Right.
especially in the Atlanta area. Because it's kind of like, okay, you got to think, you got to be ready, you got to go, you got to go, you got to go. And it's like, no, not for every investor. Like, I think for some people, they may want to just take their time and find something more relaxed in investing, and not as I would say pressured. I think that's the
Right.
word, as it is in Atlanta with flipping. And I know it's like this in other major cities. It's like you just have to, and sometimes you get into these deals because of the pressure, the multi offer situations that you have, and just wanting to get your feet wet, but you make a mistake. And I think with a
Right.
mobile home, I mean, you're not starting out with a lot of money, like $3,200. Oh my gosh. I mean,
Right.
and like you said, it's just so laid back. It's chill. It's just, yeah, it's just totally different. I would love to, I mean, I really am taking this course. I can't wait to get my first mobile home, because I'm like, okay, I could just go out there with flip flops and say, hey, who's trying to sell a mobile home, instead of me having to, be on top of everything and looking at text messages from wholesalers every morning to be the first one to do it. No way. This is just so much easier.
Exactly. And it's one of those things, like, you're kind of in your own different world because
Yeah.
you're out there at the real estate investment club. People are doing single family, they're doing
Mhm.
multifamily, they're in these commercial deals.
Oh.
And I went that route too. And I'm like, no, I'm not having this.
Yeah, this is the road less traveled for sure.
Right.
No one is on this road. You're in your own lane. And I think even with your course, I think it's pretty cool that you have that community, because I'm pretty sure that you guys can, be friends really quick and say, hey, what do you think about that? And you're not having to worry about competing.
Exactly. And I will tell you, there's going to be a lot of, like, for anyone who do look into this course or mobile home investing, there's going to be a lot of investors out there, because they're out there and they could have their own agenda, but they say, no, the money's in owning the dirt, not the homes, because with dirt, there's less. And my question would be like, so do you have an interest? Do you have a fund for mobile home parks that you're trying to sell? Because it's like someone selling to someone, it's called Ponzi scheme, I think. Someone's selling to someone, it's like, and it's a whole long list. Man, this park's been sold like 10 times. It's been flipped.
Yeah.
So I would caution anyone, who do their due diligence and research what others say regarding just getting into the homes themselves, because there's more to it than meets the eye with some of these mobile home parks. So
yeah,
it's up to the individual. That's
right.
Sure.
Because you also wrote a book about this as well. Not even just your course. You have a book on Amazon.
Yes, yes, and you'll link it to the with the show notes,
Absolutely.
right?
It will
Yes,
be linked.
I do have a book, and it's basically also just a getting started,
Hmm.
with mobile homes, and just kind of, I mean, if you're just getting into the space and you're interested in learning about it, there's not many mobile home books out there.
It's
Uh,
not. I
last
looked at that.
Yeah, last I heard, Lonnie Scruggs, I mean, his book was something crazy. I had a student, she's like, did you know that Lonnie's book was like, I mean, it was almost $1,000. I'm like, oh my
Wow.
goodness. I guess the information's very valuable, but my goodness,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if anyone wants to check it out, definitely, Candle will link it up in the show notes.
Yeah, it will be available. Okay, so Rachel, I've got to put you in the seat. You're the teacher. It is we're fixing to do Financially Lit 101, where you are going to school us on money.
Okay.
I love to get into the minds of real estate investors because we think so differently than ordinary people, and I think it's so cool.
I agree.
So my one of my mentors told me this, and I share it all the time. It changed everything for me. She said, if you put 7 real estate investors in front of a house, they will give you 7 different strategies, 7 different ways to spend the money, 7 different ways to make the money, and they'll have 7 different goals with it in 10 years. I'm like, oh, that is so true. And so I'm just, I love talking to real estate investors because we do. We always have our own thing going, but
Right.
it all meets our common goal. It helps us meet our financial goals. So I have some questions I'm going to ask you, and it's all related to finance.
Okay.
You ready?
Sure.
Okay. And you could be quick with it, or you could explain it. Hey, it's your classroom,
Okay.
however you want to run it. Okay. What was the first financial book? And you've already mentioned Rich Dad, Poor Dad, so I want another book, but a financial book that changed the game for you, like changed your mindset and how you operate with money.
That one, it had to be, I mean, it was Money and Also Business, The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yes.
And I think it's really downplayed, that book, but it really now, if you're going to be in real estate for the long haul, you need to know how to hire people. And that book really, really put things in perspective. You don't hire, I forgot exactly, but you don't hire a bricklayer to make baskets or, those stories, those parables, and I've made so many mistakes in terms of hiring. You really need to know, who you're working with and hire the right people. So Richest Man in Babylon definitely made an impact on me as another financial book for my real estate investing business.
Nice. What is one money lesson or principle that you learned, but you did not learn it in school?
One money principle that I learned, but I did not learn it in school. It's not what you make that counts. It's what you keep.
Ooh, that is so true. That is a good one. That is a very good lesson. Oh my gosh. I hope my college students just heard that.
I hope so too.
That is so true. Okay, if you had 20,000 right now, I guess a extra stimulus package deposited into your bank account, what would you do with it?
I would just leave it there for at least 6 months and just think about what I want to do with it. I would not spend a dime of that until I gave it some thought.
Smart.
No, I'm not going to buy a new car.
That is smart. That is smart. Because many people think once they have it, they got to do something with it.
I'm going to buy a Tesla.
Yeah. You are one of the few. You are one of the few. I think you're the first that has said that they would just wait.
Yeah, I would just wait on it and give it some time, at least 6 months, if not a year.
Wow.
Because I'm at the point in my career that I don't need the money and I can pick and choose what deals I want to do. I have the time to do the things I really want to do. And that's one thing I wanted to talk to you too. Apart from doing interviews and writing, I think I talked to you before about having that podcast. Yeah. That's another thing I've been wanting to do for a very long time. And here I am. It should be launching sometime very soon. So
yeah. Yeah, you will love it. You will love it.
Thank you.
So, Rachel, what is your ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal It's really, this is, I know it's repetitive because I keep saying it and saying it and saying it, but it's really why I decided to do mobile home investing and even real estate investing in the first place. It's not about the money. It's not how much I make. It's not even having fame from being a real estate investor. It's really about time and the freedom from money and what having passive income can do for you. And this is what Lonnie Scruggs taught me. The real reason he went into mobile home investing was that so him and his wife could travel the country, go in the RV. They weren't thinking about, oh, I want to buy a Tesla, I want to buy a mansion.
Yeah.
We want to go, we want to travel the world. They just wanted to go in their RV and have the time to just enjoy the little towns across America. And they did that with mobile home investing. I don't want to be that type of investor where I'm getting calls because I have all these partners or I have all these, people that work underneath me. And some people do like that because it does make them feel important and that's their goals. But that's just not me. I want to be able to just have the time that I want it to do. Like if I'm writing or if I have the podcast, or say I just kind of want to go somewhere on the weekend and read a book. Versus, oh my gosh, I'm on vacation, but I have all these people calling me.
Right.
So it really is about not just about the money. It's about time and the freedom from money. That's why.
That is an excellent lesson. Thank you, Rachel. You're a great teacher. That was good. That was really good.
I hope so.
I've never heard of it in that perspective. I like that. It's about the time. It's not about the money.
No, because we're all getting old. We're not as young as we were, before. And sure, there's people listening to this who, that different age groups. But life, it happens so fast.
It happens so fast.
It happens so fast. And you really need to just enjoy the time that you have. With the people you love and your friends, because, it could be gone, in a snap. You never know.
Right.
I know that's cliche, but.
No, you're right. You're right.
True.
Right. It is about the time. That's so true. Yeah. Yeah. This passive income, it gives you the time.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I will tell people, because I get a lot of this about too. Do you really have passive income? Do you just sit back and not answer phone calls and do nothing? No, it's not that. I still have to oversee contractors doing fix-up work. I still have to build homes. I still have to screen people. But I'm not working 40, 50, 60 hours a week.
Exactly.
I'm working more if I just have like a couple properties. We're working only like 10 to 15 hours a week doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm doing this all day. The best time for me to work is really in the morning. So I try to get all my work done.
Wow. Rachel, I don't think I've even shared this on my podcast with any guests before, but I think what the light bulb that came on for me and passive income and time was my parents were real estate investors.
Oh.
And they never pushed it, on me or my brother. They just said, okay, do whatever you want to do. But we grew up in it. We knew how to evict. We knew how to paint, all that other stuff. But it never was like, oh, you're going to have these properties. You've got to buy so many properties. It was never that. But I was teaching overseas and my father was diagnosed with cancer while I was over there. And when I came back home, it was a terminal cancer. And I remember my dad, we were just, trying to get, financial things in order. Right. And I currently had a property that I had put a tenant in Georgia, and my parents lived in Tennessee. And my tenant, we fell out, and I just told her to leave the property because she wasn't paying the rent. And I was tired of dealing with her. It's because, I didn't want to deal with that stress. I had my father I wanted to focus on. So the house sat vacant. And I remember I was telling my dad, well, I think I have to go back to Georgia and probably teach, and because I got to pay the rent, all of those things. My dad said, no, Kendall, that's what we have these properties for. Go collect the rent, pay your bills, and you can stay with me. And I'm like, this is why we have investment properties. The light bulb just came on because it gave me time with my father.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, this is what real estate investing can do for you. It can bring you that money when you need it, so you don't have to give your time to other places. And that right there, that whole experience for me being able to be my father for an entire year and not work because we had real estate properties, it was like, I'm telling everybody about this. I tell everybody, this is why you need to have a property. This is why you need passive income for this, so you can make money in your sleep and you can have time for more just opportunities, for more moments, for more memories, where otherwise you would be working. And that's not making you really any memories or time.
Exactly. I mean, it's not what you think it is. I mean, yes, you see these courses and these people selling these courses in front of maybe a Ferrari or Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what real estate investing can do for you. Or
Yeah.
you're at the pool on an island. But honestly, it's not about that.
It's not.
It's really not about that. It's about, and you got it, it's about time.
Yeah.
The time to do the things that matter in your life, because we're not, we only have so much time on this earth to live. And the older I get, honestly, Kendall, I'm like, you know what? It's true.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, and even in these hard times with, coronavirus, and you never know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
absolutely.
That's really what it is about for me personally. And I'm glad that you share the same vision. It really is to have the time. And I got to give props to Lonnie Scruggs, because that's really what he taught me as his student.
Nice.
I'm doing this, and I hope you're doing it the same way, because to give you time to do those things that matter in your life.
Yeah.
Not things that don't matter in your life.
Absolutely.
Or because you have to do it.
It is for the time. Absolutely. Exactly. Well, I thank you for being such a light on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I know you get this all the time, but I've never met a person whose name was Candle. So you will be very memorable in my mind.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So how can people reach out to you?
Sure. They can get a hold of me. I do have a website. It's adventuresinmobilehomes.com. And my handle, if anyone is on social media, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. And my handle's the same. It's Mobile Home Girl, GURL, Mobile Home Girl, all one word. And they can follow me there if you kind of want to get a play-by-play on what's happening.
Nice. And I will make sure that we have all of your information on our website too, so they can also get in touch with you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me, Candle. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for teaching me today so much.
You're welcome to ask me any questions anytime about mobile home investing.
I will, because I'll be taking your course.
Yes,
I will be in that group.
And we will tell you all how what you thought of it.
Oh, yeah. Almost definitely. Rachel has created a course, What You Need to Do to Get Started in Mobile Home Investing, and she is giving our listeners 50% off the price to purchase. This is an amazing deal. To take advantage of this opportunity, just go to candlelocket.com/podcast. There you will find the link with the promo code, show notes, and you can also learn more about Rachel. Want to get more tips on how to make extra streams of income, create assets, learn how to make money work for you, and win giveaways? Just sign up for my newsletter, 5 Things Friday. Just go to candlelocket.com/newsletter. That's all for now. Stay safe, stay sane, and stay lit.